South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. The notion of making the big screen version of the Ramsey animated series into a Broadway-esque musical shocked the Paramount executives, but the decision ultimately paid off, as this is a brilliant motion picture. The commentary and shocking humor common on the show was transferred to the movie, but what makes this special are the hilarious songs by Trey Parker and Mark Shaman. It's not difficult to spot what the musical numbers are parodying, but the songs work marvelously on their own too. Whether it's the joyful optimism of the opening Mountain Town song, or Terrence and Phillips' fart and expletive-filled showstopper, or my personal favorite, the triumphant La Resistance, each song leaves a memorable mark. And underneath the crudeness, there's a strong message about not blaming others for your own faults. To me, bigger, longer, and uncut is the high point of South Park. Monty Python's Spamalot. Eric Idle must have seemed like a madman to the rest of the Monty Python crew when he decided to turn Holy Grail into a Broadway musical, and yet the humor that has long defined the troupe was adapted wonderfully to stage. There are a lot of wonderful additional flourishes. We have Spamalot making fun of the whole idea of a Broadway musical and breaking every single fourth wall. There is a number about how to succeed on Broadway, and even a song literally titled The Song That Goes Like This. The lady in the lake even wonders where her role disappears to at one point. So the show works on two levels, for both Monty Python fans and Broadway fans. I'm definitely curious to see how they adapt those elements in the just-announced film adaptation, but I'm sure Eric Idle will think of something clever. Plus, how many other musicals feature song numbers with the Finnish slapping each other with fish? Not a single one. The Lion King. Like a lot of people my age, The Lion King is one of my favorite Disney animated films, with its incredible size, ensemble memorable characters, great dramatic story, and of course the songs of Elton John and Tim Rice. The incredible sequence, Circle of Life, does an amazing job of pulling us into this African savanna and setting up the way of life here. I've seen The Lion King more than any other movie, and it's a film that continues to bring me so much joy and emotion. However, the reason The Lion King ranks highly on this list is not just because of the animated film, but also the spectacular Broadway musical. Julie Taymor took an extremely creative approach in adapting the movie to stage by utilizing a wide array of costumes, puppets, makeup, and other visual trickery to bring those animals to life. Seeing The Lion King on stage is an experience I won't ever forget, and it's little surprise it still draws crowds to its Broadway run and tours. Of course, Jon Favreau is currently directing a remake with photorealistic computer-animated animals, so we'll see what he will bring to this epic tale. There's certainly a lot to live up to. The Book of Mormon. When Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Robert Lopez announced they were teaming up to create a musical about Mormons, I think a lot of us expected something biting and satirical, and it absolutely is. This is a frequently hilarious send-up of religions, particularly those ever-cheery, name-tag-wearing members of the Church of Latter-day Saints. And yet, what allows the Book of Mormon to be something special is a surprising amount of heart. There's a genuine message here in support of religions, even as it makes fun of how silly they can be. Yet, if they end up helping people, then what's the harm? The lead characters of Elder Price and Elder Cunningham are probably developed throughout the show, as we see their faith tested. The songwriting trio's love for Broadway musicals is all over this production, and they find creative ways to utilize these Mormons for musical numbers. Who doesn't love a musical that begins with a chorus of doorbells? We also get tap-dancing Mormons in Turn It Off, Mormons singing about going on their mission 2 by 2, and an I Want song all about a wish to visit Salt Lake City. It's little surprise this proved to be such a sensation when it premiered on Broadway. Singin' in the Rain. Generally regarded as the best movie musical of the Golden Age, it absolutely deserves that status. Inspired by the difficult transitions silent film stars had when talkies were introduced, Gene Kelly, Stanley Donen, and the writers Betty Condon and Adolph Green managed to weave songs written for earlier MGM musicals into a hilarious narrative. The movie takes a sharp but also funny look at movie production in that slightly exaggerated Hollywood fashion. Kelly, Donald O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds have excellent chemistry, while Gene Hagen gets some of the biggest laughs as Lena Lamont. Every single musical number is directed with such utter joy, it's hard not to smile. Sing in the Rain is of course a major highlight, and an excellent bit of choreography in bad weather. However, Good Morning and Make 'Em Laugh also showcase the incredible skill of the performers. Then it tops it off with that colorful Broadway melody number. I'm sure Sing in the Rain will continue giving off that glorious feeling for many generations to come. The Producers. Mel Brooks' comedy about two producers who try to put on the biggest flop ever made for a logical choice to bring to the stage, and Brooks uses the opportunity to make a bigger comment on Broadway and the craziness involved in putting on a big show. Brooks is also one of the few who could take this subject matter and avoid making it too tasteless, as the mockery is aimed squarely at those goose-stepping fascists. And in this day and age, we desperately need to see more of them ruthlessly mocked and laughed at. Brooks has always understood laughter is the best weapon of all, and that's the ultimate appeal of the producers. I know the film adaptation of the musical is divisive, but I absolutely love it, as it wonderfully preserves Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick's performances, and those hilarious songs, from Leo Bloom's declaration of wanting to be a producer to the most outlandish musical ever made about an evil dictator. For those who can't find a stage performance, the movie is the next best thing. But at its heart, The Producers is ultimately about a friendship that grows between this boisterous impresario and his timid accountant. And my favorite musical is Beauty and the Beast. It's amazing how this fairy tale about the love that grows between a bright young woman and a cursed prince has inspired such an incredible musical with songs that will live on forever. The Disney animated film is a marvelous piece of filmmaking, crafting a beautiful love story and one of the most iconic heroines in cinema history. Alan Menken and Howard Ashman's songs treat the story with the proper respect, as much like with The Little Mermaid, they brought the Broadway style of music and storytelling to animation. There's not a single scene or song that feels superfluous. The opening number Belle, the villain's pompous boast Gaston, the enchanted object's show-stopping Beelzebub, and the titular ballad Beauty and the Beast. Those songs and others enter the brain thanks to their charming melodies and whimsical lyrics. Later, Disney brought it to the stage with equally stunning magic. It was their first attempt at a Broadway musical, and it delivered on all levels, adding new wonderful songs, especially Home, If I Can't Love Her, and Human Again, the latter of which found its way into the IMAX re-release. I have to admit, I even liked last year's live-action version of Beauty and the Beast. Is it nostalgia fuel? Absolutely, but rather than the animated film, it brought me back to seeing the stage musical, with its grand sets and expertly choreographed dance numbers. It would have been nice if the characters got to sing the songs from the Broadway show, but I understand what Bill Condon was going for. The Blu-ray even gives you the option of watching the movie with an overture. Oh, and I have to mention Colin Colgren and Tony Goldmark's brilliant Beauty and the Beast musical parody, featuring some clever lyrics, all with the running theme of comparing two different film versions of the classic fairy tale. Search for Brows Held High Beauty and the Beast on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. And that was my list of favorite musicals. Let me know what yours are, and no, I've not seen Wicked. Sorry. I haven't seen Matilda either. Hamilton? I do have tickets to see it in May 2022. What? Do you know how hard it is to see that show? I'll see you next time.